Dattatreya Nama, Dattatreya Nama, Dattatreya Nama. There are various emotions in the world. Quantity of emotions is very high. Quantity of emotions must be controlled in this world, and quality of emotions must also be controlled in this world. Quality of emotions must also be controlled, and quantity of emotions must also be controlled. Now, emotions must be controlled because some emotions are useful and some emotions are harmful, and hence harmful emotions must be controlled especially because harmful emotions are very dangerous for this world. Harmful emotions must be controlled. If the emotions are not controlled, then disasters can arrive. Because of uncontrolled wrong emotions, there is an increase in violence in the world. Because of the uncontrolled wrong emotions, there is an increase in various illegal activities. Because of the uncontrolled wrong emotions, there is an increase in quarrels. Because of uncontrolled wrong emotions, there is an increase in various wrong deeds. And hence there is an importance of controlling the emotions. There must be a control on emotions. Now the question is how to control the emotions. Government has no restriction on emotions. You must understand that government has no restriction on emotions. Visible government or invisible government has no restriction on emotions. Then how to control the emotions? Anyone can have any emotion or emotions. Any person in the world can have any emotion or emotions. There is no restriction by any government in the world. But when there are wrong emotions in the mind and wrong deeds are done, then punishment is also done by the government. Punishment is done by visible government or invisible government. Punishment is definitely done for wrong deeds. Punishment is definitely done for the sins made by those. Punishment is done, but there is no restriction on emotions. Any person in the world can have any emotion or emotions in his mind. Hence, there is a responsibility of every person to control the emotions in his mind. This is the responsibility of every person to control the emotions in his mind or in her mind. Because visible government or invisible government has no restriction on emotions. Government has not declared any sort of restriction on emotions. Restriction is there on wrong deeds. Restriction is done on sins. There is a restriction on sins. There is no restriction on emotions. How to restrict them? How to restrict the emotions? It is impossible. We have to restrict the sins. We have to avoid the sins in the world. There is an increase in sins in the world when the density of harmful emotions is very high. Hence, density of emotions must be controlled. The density of emotions must be controlled. Now I will tell you about the density in the field of science and technology. Density is mass divided by volume, or you may say density is equal to weight divided by volume. That means that mass per unit volume is termed as density. Volume is three-dimensional. Now, what is area density? Area has two dimensions only, and hence area density is also known as surface density. Linear density is a density in a line that is considered in only one dimension. Similarly, by considering the dimensions of emotions, we must control the density of emotions. By considering the dimensions, the strength of emotions, the density of emotions must be controlled. Now, in the field of science or technology, density is considered of any substance, whether that substance is solid, liquid or gas. Density is measured. Density can vary according to state. For example, the density of a substance in liquid state may vary with the density of that substance in solid state, or the density of that substance in both states may be same. But density can vary according to state. Density of any element can vary according to temperature. Density of different elements is different, and hence density differs according to the type of element, temperature and the state. Similarly, the density of emotions may vary according to situation. The density of emotions may vary according to the state of mind. The density of emotions may vary according to the surrounding persons. By considering all these elements, all these facts, everyone should control the density of emotions. Everyone must control the density of emotions. Then there will be a strong decrease in the sins in the world. There will be a strong decrease in wrong deeds in the world. Density of wrong emotions must be decreased. Some measures must be taken for that. Now, we should consider about the density of population. That is known as population density. Population density, sometimes we say that this area is densely populated area. That means in this area the density of population is high. Now the population density can be decided in three ways. First of all is arithmetic density. Arithmetic density is number of persons in the land. Number of persons per unit of land is known as arithmetic density. There is a term and there is an importance of there is an importance of physiological density also. Physiological density is always higher than arithmetic density. This point must be remembered. Physiological density is always higher than arithmetic density. Physiological density of any nation is always higher than arithmetic density of that nation. What is physiological density? Physiological density can be termed as physiological population density. Arithmetic density can be termed as arithmetic population density. Physiological density is number of persons divided by arable land. Number of persons divided by arable land. Now what is arable land? Arable land is the land which is under agriculture. Arable land is the land in which crops are taken. This is physiological density. In the world there is a problem in some nations about the higher physiological density. When there is a higher physiological density in any nation, then there can be a problem of food. There can be a problem of food when there is very higher physiological density. Now, the third way of measuring the population density is agricultural density, or simply agriculture density. I have told just now the population density and its various types. In this world, there is a population of human and other living beings also. The density of population must also be controlled. Similarly, in every mind, there is a population of emotions. There is a population of emotions. Various emotions reside in mind. Various emotions reside in mind. And hence there is a population of emotions in mind. Emotion population density must also be controlled. Otherwise, the mind will not work properly. If in mind there is very dense population of emotions, then mind will not work properly. There must be control. There must be a strong control on the density of emotions in mind. There must be a strong and perfect control on the density of population of emotions. Otherwise, mind will not work properly. There will be an arrival of any type of mental disorder. And hence, emotion population density must also be controlled. There must be a control on emotion population density. Then mental disorders can be avoided. Emotion population density. This must be remembered. Our mind should be strong in any position. When there is a position of sorrows, or when there is a position of happiness, our mind should be strong enough so that the density of the population of emotions will remain under control. Our mind should be strong so that density of emotions can be under control. The word density is utilized in various fields. For example, in medical field, eco-density, hypo-density, hyperdensity, etc. are utilized. Photodensity in the field of physics, photodensity is measured. Photodensity is the density of photons. Radio density is the density related to radio waves. Electron density is the density related to electrons. In the field of astronomy, or you may say cosmology, density related to space is measured. That density is known as spatial density. That density is related to space and not with the objects in it. In social field, social density is measured. Social density is number of interactions within a limited area. In various fields, density is measured. In the field of emotions, in the field of mind, density must be considered in detail. In the field of devotion, in the field of spiritualism, the density of devotional emotions must be very high. The density of devotional emotions must be very high. The density of materialistic emotions must be controlled. The density of wrong emotions must be controlled. Otherwise, wrong deeds will happen in the world. The density of wrong deeds must be under control. Density of stupid emotions is very harmful. It may lead to stupidity, and hence it must be avoided. Stupidity is very harmful, and hence density of stupid emotions is very, very harmful. That must be avoided. That must be avoided. Now, every emotion in mind should be under control. If there is no control, mental disorders can arise. For example, in the field of psychology, there is a concept of emotion network density. Emotion network. There is a network of emotions, and there is a density of that network of emotions. That is known as emotion network density. When there is major depression, which is called as major depressive disorder, then emotion network density is very high. When a person is facing the major depression, then emotion network density is very high. That must be controlled. That must be decreased in that patient. Then he will be free from that disorder, otherwise not. Emotion network density must be decreased, must be nullified. There can be a cloud of emotions in mind, and that cloud must be controlled. For example, in the sky, there is a cloud. When the density of that cloud is very, very low, there is only noise of clouds and no raining. If the density of those clouds is appropriate, then there is an advantage of raining for mankind. When the density of clouds is very, very high, then that situation may be hazardous to mankind. Severe raining may be hazardous to mankind. Hence, there is an importance of correct density in mind. There is an importance. The density of emotions must be controlled. then there will be no hazard for that person and for the world also. The density of emotions, density of the cloud of emotions in the mind must be controlled. Then there will be no harm. Uncontrolled emotions may lead to hazardous situation. This point must be remembered. All these things must be remembered for the benefit of the world. Now I will tell you about the building, RCC building. For the construction of a RCC building, the density of concrete should be as per requirement. The density of concrete should be as per requirement. Similarly, for the construction of peaceful world, the density of emotions must be controlled. The density of emotions in the world must be as per requirement. Then the construction of peaceful world will happen. Datta, datta, datta.